everybody, and welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts with your hosts, us. It's Ariel and
Raylene. Hello.
We are here, and we are so excited because we are doing a meetup, our first ever Books Unbound meetup in Halifax on September 22nd on Agricola Street at Carlos Auto parking lot.
Whoa! This is the first I'm hearing about it. I didn't know where the event was because this just happened.
Okay, so we really needed to say that as the first thing because that's the thing we care the most about you hearing this week.
It's very important, yeah.
We read good books and we're excited to review them, but like this is our first time ever doing like a proper big Books Unbound meetup.
True.
The mini truck will be there. After this recording, like we're going to record this episode, after this recording, Raylene and I are going to sit here for an hour and choose all of the books I need to order for the book truck.
Yeah. Oh my god,
I'm going to submit that order tonight, Raylene.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And then
this is coming up quick.
Because it's coming up. And then those books will arrive. I'll get the truck down to Halifax, and then we are going to be doing this event, and we are so excited. Like, so excited.
It's going to be so fun, too, because it'll be, like, the day after we've reunited. Like, you and I haven't seen each other in 2 years.
Yes.
In person. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And then it's like, going to be like, boom, let's go. Let's get to work. Let's have a good time.
Let's get to work is right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little crazy, but I think it's just going to be the best time ever. I had been chasing down a location that just ended up not working out. It might work out another time, but it just didn't work out this time. And I was like, Christ.
What are we going to do?
What am I going to do? Oh, God. We'll talk about my sickness in a minute.
It's all tied together.
I won't be sick in 2 weeks when we do the meetup. Don't worry. But yeah, so I was like, okay, what am I going to do about this event? Because I really wanted to do it on that Sunday. It just works really good for your visit. And like, I really like the idea of us doing it right away when you visit because if it rains or something goes wrong and we have to reschedule it for the following weekend, we can. Yeah. Totally. But if we had scheduled it for the final weekend that you're here and then something goes wrong, it just won't happen. So anyways,
this
I really wanted it to happen that Sunday. And I was like, oh my God, now I have to just find a new place. And I was like, okay, I have seen people do gigs, like music gigs, at this parking lot. And it would be the coolest spot ever. Like, okay, how do I explain this to you, really?
I'm like, why is this parking lot so cool?
It's so cool. First of all, it has the coolest sign. Okay. Like, you'll see the sign, the Carlos Auto Shop sign is just, it's so beautiful. And when I was talking to the guy who runs it, I was like, I just love your sign. He's like, you know, artists really love that sign. I've got photographs, I've got paintings, I've got drawings. Oh, wow. People keep giving me this sign. I'm like, it's really good.
Okay.
But it's also just, it's on Agricola, which is maybe my favorite street in Halifax. And it's right in front of possibly my favorite restaurant in Halifax. And it's just in such a great, like, walking street, which all of the street is buildings, except for this one mechanic, which is set back. Oh. And so because he's a mechanic, he has like a bit of a parking lot in front of his building. Yeah. And so they've started doing music events there and like slightly different things. That's so cool. Because he's not open on the weekends, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, God, I bet you it's so hard to get that venue. I bet you it's so like booked up. And here I am a couple weeks out. Whatever. What? I was just gonna call him. I'll just call him. Yeah. Called him. So nice. So nice. And he was so like helpful because what he could have said was just like, yeah, let me get back to you. Do you know what I mean? But instead he was like, well, let's just figure this out right now. And I was like, thank you.
That's like, I love that.
That would be the best if we could just figure it out. So we spent some time on the phone because he had to like make double sure that no one had booked it already. And there was a lot of stuff booked like the day before and the next weekend and all this. He's like, but I said to him, I was like, we wanted to do like early in the day. He's like, I think we're good then. Yes. And anyway, we double checked, confirmed. I've sent over the deposit payment. It's our spot.
So what time is the event at?
It is from 10:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m.
It's exactly what I wanted.
Yes. It's perfect.
That is nice. We don't have to wake up too early.
Nope.
And we get to go
home early. Yes, it's perfect. It's going to be great. So listen, we're going to put all of these details in the description and on the Instagram if you want to like go and copy paste it there or save it or whatever. But it's going to be Halifax, Sunday, September 22nd, Carlo's Auto parking lot on Agricola Street, 10:30 to 2:30.
Perfect. I'm so excited to pick books. I haven't gotten to order books for like selling in such a long time, and it was one of my favorite things to do when I worked at a bookstore. So I got things cooking in my head.
I can't wait. Definitely come with an open mind because I've had people come to the pop-ups before and they really wanted like the Blue Castle or Albatross.
Oh, yeah.
And I order a lot of those books and I still keep selling out of them. It's very hard to guess how many people are going to show up.
Yeah, totally.
Because, like, if only 10 of you come and I've ordered 20 copies of the Blue Castle, what am I going to do with them, right? So if you come so maybe come early because those books will be there earlier. But also, we're going to pick out a bunch of cool books. So come with, like, maybe, like, you can explore the truck and see there might be a book that surprises you.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of thinking, like, I do want to pick some books that maybe I've never talked about on the podcast, but are, like, deep favorites of mine.
Yes.
That I just, like, haven't really had the opportunity to push. And so I have some ideas cooking in my head. So
it's going to be so exciting.
It'll be cool.
It's going to be so good. And there will also be merch there and my mom's chickens and... Let me tell you, I'm hoping you guys come out with your wallets ready because this is probably my last event of the year. I'm thinking of maybe doing one more in early October, but I think this might be my last event of the year. And whatever you guys don't buy, I have to store. And I'm like, I'll store whatever I have to, but the more we sell, the happier I'll be. Totally. So yeah, there you go. We're so excited. This is going to be fantastic. But it also kind of segues us beautifully into our next little update for you guys, which is that next week we will be taking a week off because Raylene will be here. You see what I did there. Yeah. So Raylene is going to come visit for a week, and we're going to be recording a bunch of cool stuff because in October, just a month later, is our 5th year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's so much going on right now. And so we're recording bonus stuff for that. We'll be recording episodes together. There's loads going on. But... because of that, we're going to be taking a day off. Also, we just don't want to feel really squished while you're traveling and visiting here. Yeah. And CJ is also going to be hanging out with us a bunch. Yeah. Maybe it would be different if we had an editor who wasn't also my best friend and brother.
The whole team is like on vacation.
The whole team's hanging out. Yeah. So we're going to be taking a week off, but then we'll be coming back with a lot of fun episodes. And I was also realizing like the episode the week after that will be the next quarterly check-in.
I know, I've been thinking about that too. Like early October is our final quarterly check-in. So
yeah,
exciting.
So there's going to be a lot of good fun stuff coming
juicy
from that
It's going to be juicy.
Yes. So so many good things. So yeah, those were the 3 things I was supposed to talk about, right? The event, the week off, and the week off is because of our reunion.
Totally. You nailed it.
So excited. I'm so looking forward to your trip. I'm a little overwhelmed right now. Like I can't believe it's like kind of right around the corner.
I know it's not, and this is exactly what I said to Kyle because Kyle is obviously coming with me too. We're all gonna hang out, and we booked the tickets for our flight like a month and a half ago or something. And I was like, this feels so crazy to be booking these tickets already. But I was like, before we know it, it's gonna be happening. Like it feels far away, but you're gonna blink and it's gonna be time.
Yep.
And now that's literally where we're at. Like it's less than 2 weeks away that we're actually hopping on a plane and leaving.
Yeah.
And so I also have to be like, do I need anything for this? Like, I need to start thinking about traveling. I'm not prepared.
I really need... The only thing I care about you bringing is the stamp. The Books Unbound stamp. So that we can double stamp books at the book truck.
Yeah. I've already put it on a list, so I'll definitely...
Okay, great.
I'll definitely pack that.
I really... You know what? One thing about Raylene is she won't forget. Like, if she's written it down, it's coming. Like, it's organized.
I just need to make the rest of the list.
Yeah, just need to keep listing. All right, well, that is our updates that we wanted to give you guys. Let's transition and talk about our weeks. Raylene, how have you been?
I have been good. So I don't really have a lot to talk about other than what I did yesterday. But because life has been just really busy this past week. Like I feel like I've gotten nothing done. Like somehow it's just been one of those weeks where I'm like, life's just been coming at me for like the whole week. But luckily the week ended in a nice way. So let me take you back to kind of the start of this tale. So long story short, yesterday I went to a concert, but there was a lot of like turmoil leading up to this concert.
Oh boy.
So I bought the tickets for this concert. It was Glass Animals, which is my favorite band. So this was very, very exciting. They came to Vancouver. They haven't been here in a long, long time because 4 years ago when their last album came out, it was COVID. And so they weren't able to come out here. I would have gone to that concert if I could have. But so I've basically, this was like my first real opportunity to see them. So I was really excited. I booked these tickets like in June or something, like a long time ago. And I kind of, forgot about it, put it into the back of my mind. For some reason, I had it in my head that this concert was taking place on Sunday, October 6th. I had locked that into my brain. I was like, October, boom. After our trip, we're going to go to a concert the following weekend. It's going to be really cool.
Shoot, there's a whole narrative in your mind.
I just created a story, a fake story. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, I've got lots of time until this concert. It's like don't even have to think about it. Yeah. And then like 5 days ago, I got an email from Ticketmaster that was like, do you want to download your tickets? Like your event is coming up. And I was like, coming up? It's like over a month away. What are you talking about? And so I kind of started freaking out because I was like, wait, what do you mean?
You texted me. You texted me in that moment. You were like, I just realized a concert I thought was in a month is in a week. Or something like that. And I was like,
I was freaking out. I was so, first of all, I'm glad that I actually like read the email properly because I could have just been like, oh, I'll deal with this later. Like, I don't have to worry about it. But I looked at it and I saw the date September 6th and I was like, huh? And so I looked at my calendar on my phone and I was like, oh, no, I definitely put it in my calendar for September 8th. Like, that is when I was like, huh? So after all of that, got it all figured out. Luckily, I didn't have anything planned, but it was kind of just like, kind of was messing with our lives a little bit. It was like, uh-oh, this is throwing a wrench in the plans. But it was all good. So the concert was yesterday, and Kyle and I were supposed to go to the concert. But then yesterday, Kyle was sick. Kyle was like, I'm not going anywhere. And I was
wait,
like,
I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is, I know. I wanted to save the drama for you.
Oh my God, the drama is, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good drama. No, this is crazy drama.
The drama is dramaing. So yesterday, it was like maybe noon-ish when this was kind of like solidified where Kyle was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to go. Oh, and I was like, okay, the concert is at 7:45. We were planning on going out to dinner and then going to the concert. Of course, so we were going to be leaving our house at around like 3:45 in the afternoon. Yeah. So I was like, okay, wow. What is happening? What do I do? And so I texted my brother because I was like, my brother is the only person I know who might want to go to this, but he doesn't even really know Glass Animals' music. Like I've tried to get him into them and he's just been kind of like, oh yeah, they're good, but not really my thing. Like he just doesn't really care. But I was like, maybe, just maybe. But he's also very similar to me in the way that like we're not spontaneous people. Like we need time to think about things. And so I'm sorry,
that's just such a... You said it so earnestly, like you held it in your heart. We are not spontaneous.
We really aren't. It's funny because my mom is possibly the most spontaneous person I know. Like if someone was like, do you want to like go on a 3-hour road trip right now? She'd be like, okay, sure. I'm not doing anything.
Okay,
like she's very spontaneous and we are the opposite of that. Like we need lots of time to process and like, and so even that's why for me, like knowing that the concert was like 4 days away instead of a month away was like it's the concert I'm most excited for. It's the thing I want to do the most. But I was also like, oh my God, I'm not ready. So it was a whole thing. So I texted my brother and I was like, no pressure. Like if you don't want to, it's fine. I don't want to put pressure on you because I know that this is probably like not what you want to do. And he was kind of like, give me 30 minutes. I just need to like think about this. I need to make a pros and cons list. I need to see how I feel. And I was like, I respect that. Cool. So I gave him his time. And then I got a text from him that just said, I'm in. And I was like, yes.
That's so epic.
I know.
That's so epic. Because I'm proud of him. I'm proud of him and I'm proud of you.
I literally said that to him. I'm like, I am so thankful that you did this because I don't know what I would have done otherwise. I'm like, I couldn't think of anybody else who would have wanted to go to the show or would have been able to on such short notice. So I'm like, do I go by myself or do I just sell the tickets? Like, what do I do? And so I'm glad that I didn't have to go there because that's a really dark place. I'm really glad I didn't have to think about that too much. But
do you think you would have gone by yourself?
I don't know. I think I would have. But after going through the experience of like going to the concert last night with my brother and like where we had to park and stuff, which I'll talk about, was kind of like weird and creepy. Like I'm glad I didn't have to go by myself because it would have been kind of like, frightening. But so I don't know. I honestly don't know what I would have done. I might have stayed home because I just would have felt so defeated. But I don't know. I'm
glad but it worked out.
It worked out, and he had a good time. Like, he was kind of like worried about being in like a concert scenario because there's so many people and stuff, which isn't really his scene. And so I'm just happy that he was able to have fun there as well, even though he doesn't know the music. So that was, it was a success. But yeah, so I talked about the parking. I'll just talk about that briefly because I feel like this happens to me every time I go to an event in Vancouver. Like, similarly to you and I went to a movie event in Vancouver a few years ago. We went and saw the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before in a theater, which was so cool. And I had to park in like a weird underground parking for a courthouse, and there was nobody there, and it was so scary. And I had to like run up this weird ramp, and we basically had to do the same thing yesterday. Like, we showed up and I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to park. This is like a big event venue, but like the parking is confusing and doesn't make sense to me. So I ended up parking in this weird underground parking, which was underneath a hotel, and I was like, I'm probably allowed to park here. This should be fine. And so, but to get out of the parking garage, we had to walk through this like weird tunnel. And my brother actually took a couple of photos of me in there, so I'll share one of those for the podcast now. So you can see, like, it was really weird. There was like gross cans and garbage, and like it was weirdly small. Like, it was a creepy tunnel. So I'm glad I didn't have to walk through there by myself.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, it was also confusing trying to find our way back because the tunnel was shut. It was only accessible from one. It was so weird.
The tunnel is closed for the night.
Yeah, we exited it, and I was like, I don't think we're gonna be able to come back in this way. And he was like, yeah, it's okay. We'll figure it out. But then it was such a lovely experience. Like, we got there and I bought a shirt. I'm wearing the shirt right now, which is why I'm wearing this like massive t-shirt. You can't really see much of it, but the back is really cool. Actually, I kind of want to show you the back of it.
Yeah, show us the back. What are we talking about here? What am I seeing? It says Tour of Earth, and it's got a really cool drawing, and we've got like a tornado that turns into many people's faces, and it says
got, like, all the tour dates on the bottom.
All the tour dates, and it says I love you so effing much.
Yes, which is the name of their new album. And also, I wanted to say they are still touring. Like, there still are lots of locations. So if you're in some places in America and in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, they still have shows coming up. And I wholly recommend the show with all of my heart. Like, it was so good. And also, the opener for them was a band that I had never heard of. They're called iDress. EYEDRESS. And I was like, I didn't even think about the fact that there would be an opener. So I was like, just open to it, like, whatever. I've never heard of them. And then I recognized like 4 or 5 of their songs. I was like, I guess I've just heard them in like my random Spotify musing. So it was like a win. It was a big win because I was like, I'm gonna listen to these guys more now that I like know who they are. And there were these 2 girls who were like on the floor. And during the opener, like, there weren't as many people there because a lot of people showed up just for Glass Animals. But there were these 2 girls that were just, like, dancing their hearts out, just, like, having a good time together. And everyone else was just, like, not moving, dead quiet. And it was just, like, a very beautiful, wholesome moment. My brother was like, look at them. They're having so much fun.
I love that crap. And I love that.
It just made me happy. That's something that I love about live music. Like, whether I'm watching a DJ set on YouTube or if I'm actually, like, at an event. Like, it's just, like, the people and, like, the joy that people have that really, like... it really makes my heart warm. So that was really nice. And
I saw this really funny, like, reel or vertical video a couple months ago that was like, actually it was probably a couple years ago now, but it was like, I thought I was religious, but then I went to a Harry Styles concert and I realized that everything I get out of being in church, I get being in a concert. Like, it's the power of so many people throwing their love in the same direction and like being moved by art and by things that they really believe in is like so beautiful how music pulls that out of people.
Yeah, that's actually like, I'm glad that you said that because my brother and I were talking about basically that on the way home. I was like, this is like where I find my joy is like just like fueled through like the music and stuff. And like in our seats, like we were kind of up like off to the side of the stage and fairly high up, so we actually had a pretty good view of the stage, and we were having a good time dancing and stuff during the concert. But there was this girl beside me who the entire time she had her arms crossed, and she wasn't moving at all, no swaying, no head bobbing, no enjoyment, and it made me so sad. I was like, why are you here? Oh, it was awful. But yeah, when Glass Animals started playing, like, how when you're at a concert, everybody's sitting in their little seats and you're just kind of waiting for it to get started, and then once it gets started, everyone stands up. And I was like, nobody's standing up. They're on the stage. Why is nobody standing up? And so I was like, I'll be the first one to stand up.
Oh my God, yes.
And so there were some people on the other side who were standing up, but I was like, brother, I'm standing up right now. And so he's like, I'll join you so you don't look weird. And I was like, sick. And so he stood up, and then everybody stood up, and it was a good time.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it was so
great.
fun, and it was so fun to dance and sing along. And I'm still amazed that I didn't lose my voice because I screamed so much last night.
That's so awesome.
So maybe my voice is just more powerful from doing the podcast now. Usually I lose my voice
we've been training you up
after a concert. So I think I'm just, I'm strong. But yeah.
I am actually kind of glad. I'm not glad that Kyle got sick, but I am kind of glad it went this way just because, like, I feel like it's rarer for siblings to have such a great pal day, like a pal adventure.
Yeah, like we never do events together. Like we don't do stuff like that, you know? And
so I'm actually glad it worked out that way.
I'm glad too because like Kyle likes glass animals more than my brother does, but I think Kyle likes concerts less than my brother would, if that makes sense.
Yes, gotcha.
So
yes,
I feel like it worked out so that everybody like got to do what they wanted to do a little bit more.
That's so sick.
And now I'm like, okay, brother, you're gonna be my guy for going to concerts. And
yeah.
I also was like, he loves Gorillaz, the band, and so I was like, if they ever have a show, like I'll go with you. They're your favorite band. I don't really care about them that much. I like some of their songs, but yeah, I was like, I owe you big for this.
That's so nice.
So it was lovely.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. I'm so glad that it went so well.
Yeah.
Because you told me basically every week we obviously check in about the coming weeks and when we're going to record, and we talk about like when should we record. And you were like, I need to record late this week because I'm going to be waking up late because I will have had a concert the night before. And I was like, oh, who are you going to see? And you said Glass Animals, and I lost it because that's your favorite band. I was like, you're seeing your favorite band.
Like it was bucket list. Like I really ticked something off my bucket list. I'm like, the only people I want to see like was Glass Animals and Fred again. So now I'm like, I just have to find a way to see Fred, and then I'll have like ticked everything off my bucket list.
Okay, well, that was a huge success, and I'm super, super excited that it went so well. That's just the best. In many ways, I had the exact opposite weekend.
Yeah.
While you were dancing, swaying, partying, getting in tune with your soul, I was rotting and decaying in my bed.
Yeah, like we were talking about having like a little hangout to like talk about the book truck stuff like a few days ago, and you were like, I'm dead. I'm laying in bed. I can't. And then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And then we checked in the next day, and you just sent me a picture from your bed, and there's like 3 bottles of NyQuil up on your mantle. You're like, I can't do it today either. And I was like, you know what? I'll just leave you alone.
It was the most sick I've ever felt, I think, like cold wise. You know, well, not ever. I'm being a baby, but it was bad. It was really bad. Like, usually, and I shouldn't. I'm not proud of this. I'm just putting it in context. Usually, I work through a cold.
Yeah.
Like, I remember wallpapering my upstairs closet with a bad cold. But I was just like, I'm fine. Like, I'm going to be sniffly and I'm tired, but I'll just take my time and I'll go slow and stuff like that. But, like, it was impossible.
You couldn't.
This weekend. I was so ill. It's been very frustrating because, listen, there is no such thing as a good time to get sick, right? Like, that it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And as my friend pointed out, I'm going to be going on a trip this next week, and I'm like super excited for all of the fun I'm going to have. And so they were like, isn't it good that you didn't get sick this week?
Exactly.
Right?
That's true.
Yes, it is good that I didn't get sick this week and ruin my trip. But the next worst thing is getting sick the week before the trip when you have so much you need to get done.
That's true. You should get sick the week after.
I know. I was just laying there like, I have so much I need to do. And but you know what? I couldn't even hold that thought for very long. I felt so like dumb. It was so funny. Like I was just I was so sick. It was just really bad. But yeah, so Connor got sick early last week, and I thought I had gotten through it. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be just fine. I wasn't feeling sick, and he was already starting to get better, and I still wasn't feeling sick at all.
Yeah.
So I was like, woo, I somehow missed this one. And then the next day I felt kind of off. And then the next day I felt bad. And then on Saturday I felt like it was so funny to me how sick I was. Actually, it wasn't funny. At one point, I was in so much pain that I actually cried, which is, that to me isn't that crazy? Like, I just woke up so achy.
Yeah.
Like, all of my bones, all of my joints,
like, everything.
And there's nothing you can do. And like, I felt so like congested and I had a massive headache and my neck was just like, I felt like I couldn't move. I actually cried because it was so painful. And then I had Dayquil and it all went away. Thank God. Yeah. And then Saturday I felt better. Wait, what day? I like again also lost all sense of the timing on this.
Where are we?
But anyway, I started to feel better and today I'm feeling pretty good. Just like a little bit of lingering nasal nonsense. But I was gonna say the positive of it. I don't know if it was a positive. The positive of it was that I did read a lot.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I kind of was like, I thought, well, if I'm gonna be stuck in bed, maybe I can read, right?
Yeah.
And I kept trying to like read my novel that I've been reading, which I've been really enjoying, but I made no progress on it. Every time I'd look at the words, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I just read a lot of graphic novels.
Yes. That's perfect.
Yeah, and it was really, really fun. So, should we transfer and talk about the books that we read this week?
Yes, please.
All right. How about you start us off, Raylene, with what you read this week?
Yes, so I continued with my audiobook I was listening to and ended up finishing The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. Anne Rule was born in Lowell, Michigan in 1931 and passed away in Burien, Washington in 2015. In her early writing career, she supported herself and her family of 4 by writing magazine articles about crime, published under male pseudonyms. She was best known for her 1980 book, The Stranger Beside Me, about the serial killer Ted Bundy, whom she worked with and had considered a friend. She published over 30 true crime books, and ultimately she was a pioneer in the genre. First of all, awesome audiobook. The narrator did such a good job. It was really good, really easy to listen to, and the book was so good too. I really loved it. Like, it's quite a long book, and so it's an 18-hour long audiobook, if that gives you any kind of context. And it was over 500 pages, so it was really in-depth and like covered a really large like time span. And also this edition came out, I want to say, in 2008. Like, the book originally came out in 2010, but there have been like multiple updated versions since then as things progressed. Because when this came out in 1980, like, you know, it was kind of like, okay, Ted Bundy's in jail and that's it. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next kind of thing. But then this covers like everything that had happened after that, which was really enlightening and good to know, because I didn't really know that much about the whole thing. And I was like, I don't even know if he's like been executed or if he died or if he's in jail. So like, I don't even know. And now I know. So it was, very, very interesting, but very well written. Like, this is such a complicated story because it does span so much time and like so many different states. Like, he was kind of wild. He was all over the place. He didn't just stay in one place. And like, he was prolific, which is bad. But yeah, he really was. So he was all over, and she really like laid it out in a way that was really easy to understand. And I never like got confused. And like the whole court aspect was really interesting. Like, I've always enjoyed stuff like that, like things that kind of look at the justice system and not just about like the crimes. So that was a big part of the book as well, which I really enjoyed. And
that's cool.
It was really, it was a good book. It was good. Like, tough to read because obviously it's about a serial killer, but I really enjoyed it. And I think if you're interested in true crime at all, or if you want to know more about Ted Bundy and everything, like, it was a really good book. And there was a quote near the end that I wanted to read because I feel like this kind of also like sums up, like, kind of like tacks on to the true crime conversation as a whole, which is interesting. So she says, "How many more? Because Ted murdered so many, many women, he did more than rob them of their lives. He robbed them of their specialness too. It is too easy and expedient to present them as a list of names. It is impossible to tell each victim's story within the confines of one book. All those bright, pretty, beloved young women became of necessity Bundy victims, and only Ted stayed in the spotlight." So she does touch on that. Like, you know, like that, obviously that is one of the big bad things about true crime. Is like, all of the victims are like not the point almost when the stories are being told. And with this book, she really did her best to like dig into the people and their lives a little bit more than I feel like I've seen in other books or other things I've listened to. So I feel like it was just a really good book. So
how did you find out about this one again?
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I worked in a bookstore for a long time, so I just knew of things. And like the true crime section was like 80% Anne Rule, because she has written so many books, and she is like one of the top people like in the genre. Like she's just
I
written
didn't know
a
that.
wide variety. Like they're all about different people. Like some of them are
Okay.
about serial killers. Some of them are about like a mother who went crazy and killed her kids. Like she has like lots of different topics, but I think she usually covers stories that like are solved. So you kind of get the full story when you read hers.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll read a book and then it ends and you're like, oh, this hasn't even been like figured out yet. Like,
Gone
oh,
to court yet or
huh.
whatever. Yeah.
And so I think that's like part of why she was so popular too, because they are like complete stories and they're written in like kind of a narrative way where it almost feels like you're reading a novel. Like it reads in such a, it's not just all like statistics and blah blah blah. So yeah, so I've just kind of always been interested in this one, and this is like her most famous book. And one of my friends bought this for me for Christmas a few years ago, and so I've just had it.
That's awesome.
She was like, "I'm sorry, I found this at a thrift store. I know you want it. It's kind of a weird thing to give for Christmas, but yeah." So I've had it on my shelf for I want to say like 3 or 4 years now, and so it felt really good.
Is it the first one you've read by her?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm really excited to read some more of her books now. Now that I've read this, I'm like, oh, okay. She's the one that I'm gonna like dive into.
Yeah.
Because it's such a wide genre. I've been kind of overwhelmed by it. And I'm like, I don't know where to start. And now I'm just like, oh, I'll just like read a couple more of her books. So
Yeah.
But then the other book I was reading last week was a bit of a dud for me. So, so I was reading Jasper Jones by Craig Silvey.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the books off of my 24 and 24 TBR. It's a big mashed potato book. I've had it on my TBR for, 3 or 4 years as well. And I got halfway through it and was just like, I don't care. I just don't care anymore. So basically this book is about it's set in 1965 also to start out. So it's like a historical fiction novel set in Australia in a small town, a really like tight-knit community. And there's this young man named Jasper Jones who's kind of seen as an outsider. He's one of the few people there who isn't white. And so there's like lots of reasons that people see him as other, and they kind of just blame him for everything bad that happens. And basically someone he was close with shows up dead. And he's like, it wasn't me, but they're going to think it was me. And so he kind of like ropes in the main character who's named Charlie and like ropes him into this and is like, I need you to help me deal with this because I can't go to anyone else. So it starts out in a very intriguing way. And so Charlie is like, oh my God, like, how do I deal with this? Like, this girl has been murdered. She's someone that I know, that everyone else knows, and I have to just pretend I don't know what's going on. So the setup is very interesting. But I read half of the book and nothing happens. Like, nothing. It's a murder mystery, but it's the most boring murder mystery I think I've ever read. But one thing I'll say that was good, that I did enjoy about it, is Charlie and his best friend's like friendship is very good. Like I feel like it was like a very interesting and like real portrayal of teenage boys. Like they have lots of inside jokes and like they're constantly repeating the same jokes to each other, which I'm like, it's so annoying, but that is how how we were as teenagers, like that's how people are. And so I feel like their relationship was like really well written and well done. And like that friend has like an interesting backstory as well. Like his family is in Vietnam, like most of his family is there, and this like it's at the start of the Vietnam War. So they're like, there's like lots of interesting things going on, almost to the point where I feel like there's like too many different things happening. Okay. And it kind of just like, it lost me. And I was like, I don't know. I read a bunch of reviews to see like, am I the only one who feels this way? And there's a bunch of people who were like, what is going on with this book? So I just decided to DNF it. And
another one down.
I know I really don't feel bad about DNFing these books because I'm like, either I read it or I got it off my shelf. Like,
or you cleared it.
That's all I care about. And I tried. Like, I was excited for this book and then I stopped being excited for it and it was sad and I've moved on. So yeah. So that's where
It's over, baby.
It's over.
It's over.
It's done. Forget about it. So yeah, that's everything I've read. So,
that's cool though. I'm really excited that you like found a new favorite author.
Yeah. She has so many books too. So that's just going to be like a slow like background thing for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, well, let's see what the heck I read. I read so many graphic novels. It was a little overwhelming. I myself was oh my God, another one?
Yeah.
All right. I started with Snotgirl by Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. Brian Lee O'Malley is a cartoonist from Canada who now lives in Los Angeles. Brian created the cult favorite Scott Pilgrim series. Leslie Hung is a cartoonist from Southern California. Snotgirl started coming out in 2017. Okay, so I have been meaning to read this for ages.
Yeah.
I have kind of started it a few different times and just like put it down. I don't know. And damn it, I'm not satisfied.
Dang.
So here's what I'll say, right? Like, the art is beautiful.
Yeah.
I really like the art in this book. I think it's really, really stunning. Like, it's just like every page is so saturated. It feels very like juicy.
I knew you were gonna
if I
say
may say that word.
Especially with the title Snotgirl. That's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So the plot is very simple because it is a comic book series, and so like this volume 1 is the first 5 issues of the comic book together. And there are currently 3 volumes out. There are 15 comic books out. So there's 3 volumes. And it's basically been on hiatus, but not very well communicated for like 5 years. And so basically I was looking up like Redditors were all like saying like it's dead. It's clearly like canceled or like they're just gave up on it or whatever. But then I went onto Leslie Hung's, the illustrator's Instagram, and she posted in August that there is going to be an update with Snotgirl coming soon and that she's been working on it. So I think that it is being revived, if anyone out there is curious. But like I said, the plot is about this main character, Lottie Person, who is an influencer. She's a fashion blogger.
Oh, okay.
And she like wants to have a perfect life. She's very vapid. She's very narcissistic. She's very self-centered. And she really just cares about like being beautiful and wanting to have the perfect life. But a couple of things are falling apart for her. One is that her boyfriend has kind of broken up with her, but she can't really tell what's happening. And then she finds out that he started dating her old intern.
Oh my gosh.
And then, I know. And then the other thing is that like she realizes she doesn't have any friends. Like she has these 2 friends, but she hates them.
Oh.
And she's like, I should get like a friend that I actually like.
Yeah.
And is hot like me. That's like her kind of vibe. And then she also, what was the other? The reason that she's called Snotgirl is because she has really bad allergies.
Oh, okay. I've always wondered that. I'm like, is she like some kind of superhero made out of snot?
So this,
like...
I also wondered this. I was like
her hair is
it's
green.
Gross, but there must be a reason, right? There's no reason. She just has allergies.
Oh.
And she like spends a lot of time like feeling self-conscious about the allergies and about like and going to the doctor and taking pills and like but it doesn't here's what it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It doesn't matter. And so I'm like, this is 5 issues of a comic book, right? After 5 issues of a comic book, I would want a lot of things to be explained, things to make some sense, things to be moving along. But so far, I don't like her. She's not nice. She's not, but also like irredeemably so a little bit, where you're just like, why would I ever care about you? Like, you're so selfish.
Yeah.
And because like the contrasting version of that is a character like Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is very self-interested, right?
Yes.
Like she wants everyone to help her and she doesn't want to do hard work and she hates school and she hates she's very lazy. Like she's self-proclaimed lazy.
Yes.
But when people are in trouble, she like becomes very like what's the word? Like altruistic and wants to help and like become, and that's kind of the whole concept of that like alter ego. You become the person you wish you were. You become the superhero version of yourself who is brave and does have courage. I was hoping that that's what this was going to be, but she never transforms into anything. And I'm not saying it needs to be a Supergirl thing, but like she never like turns into anything or has moments of empathy or tries and helps
like,
anyone
no
or I'm like, what's the point of this character? And then the big kind of plot point that happens is that I don't want to spoil it, but like it's not really a spoiler, but just basically like a murder happens and she's kind of involved in it. And I was like, okay, so there's going to be fallout from like that, right? Like the cops are going to find her. She's going to have to pretend that she wasn't there. Or she like they just never chase her. And I'm like, what? Like, so it was like this whole thing that built to nothing.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
So I then looked up the rest of the comics. And it really, I didn't like spoil them, I just mean the reviews of it. And it seems like people feel this way about the second and third volume as well. They're like, by issue 10, I would have hoped we know more about Caroline. And I'm like, we still don't know about Caroline. I'm like, I'm already annoyed.
Damn.
So I don't know what to do about this. Like, I liked it. I didn't hate it. I read it. I didn't give up on it. I loved the art. But I just didn't find the story was very good at all.
Yeah, damn.
The next thing I read was It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth by Zoe Thorogood. Zoe Thorogood is a comic creator from the UK. She debuted in 2020 with The Impending Blindness of Billy Scott. It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth was published in 2023. All right, so this was great. I had my receipt in. I love it when I put the receipt in the book so I can see when I bought it. I bought this one, Raylene, in February of 2023.
Oh.
So
okay, that's not too bad.
When I bought it, it had only been out for a little while. I think it came out in January of that year. And it's been sitting here ever since. So a bit over a year. That's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
In the grand scheme of all these books behind me.
I've seen worse, yeah.
I've seen much worse myself. This was fantastic. This was really good. How do I put this though? I felt like it was like a perfect book for someone else.
Oh. Yeah, like you
Like,
really see a lot of redeeming qualities in it, but it maybe wasn't perfect for you.
Exactly.
Cool.
I saw so many fantastic and interesting elements to this book, and I enjoyed reading it, but in the end, I didn't feel like super emotionally attached, and I don't think I'd ever reread it. And you know what I mean? Like, there's a certain kind of person that I'll meet, and I'll be like, oh my god, I think that you would love this. But this is not going to be like a general recommendation that I make to everyone all of the time. So this is, it says an autobiographic novel. So this is a very, very personal novel that deals with, not novel. Well, she says novel, a graphic novel, right? Yeah. It's a memoir that deals with her depression and suicidal thoughts. So like serious trigger warning on that one because it's very blunt. And I loved that. I loved how just open and honest she was talking about these things that she's dealing with, because those are her realities. That's her existence, is that she lives with suicidal thoughts. And so she talks about them very openly. And she talks early on in the book about how like she's always reading these books and they never are truly honest about that topic. And so she clearly is setting out to be able to talk about it very frankly. And so for that reason, if I was a parent, I might read it before I were to give it to like a young teen, because it is quite graphic at certain elements. But it was very, very good in that same sense where you're just like, thank God someone, like, here's a great book about this topic that deals with it in a really honest and interesting way. One thing that was really cool about the book was like it almost felt like it was multimedia. I guess it is at one point because there's like a photograph at one part, but like she does so many different styles, really.
Oh, cool.
Like one of the pages will be very like normal squares, right? Like square stuff, but there's a lot of splash pages as well. And then there's parts where she like draws like children's styles drawings, and she basically has like 4 different versions of herself that have 4 different styles of drawing, and she uses all of them to kind of share different parts of her life. And this really tracks basically a year. Is it a year? I think it's like a year of her getting ready to go to a comic convention and getting ready to go and meet a friend abroad. So she's like going on a trip, and she's like really trying to prepare herself mentally to go on this trip. And then also she's going to go do this event to do a book signing, and she's like really trying to get ready for that. And I thought it was really beautiful. I thought it was really vulnerable. I thought it was really open. I thought the drawing style was really gorgeous. I did think, this is a very random little note.
Okay.
I thought the font size was weirdly small.
Oh.
So there was a couple moments where I like had to like, what? And I like kind of squinted. And I was like, I'm just sick, right? Like I'm like literally in my sick bed, like I just can't see. But then I looked it up, and on reviews of her other book, people were like, why is the font so small? And I was like, oh, maybe this is a thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do think it suffered a bit from being a little too meta. Like there was a little bit too much breaking the fourth wall and a little too much like talking to me, talking to herself, like a little too much where I was just like, this is feeling like a little cringe at certain moments, but it was really well done. It was cool. I'm glad that I read it. The next one that I read was Yi by Guillermo Pacheca. Guillermo Pacheca is a comic book artist and art director in animation projects for TV, games, and short films. He's been publishing comics since 2013 and was recently awarded Brazil's prestigious HQ Mix Prize for Best Illustrator for his work in Yi, which is his first work to be translated into English. Yi was published in 2019. All right, so similarly, this book has a bookmark in it. Now, I don't know if this bookmark is where I bought it, but this bookmark is from Greece.
Whoa.
And I remember this bookshop, but I don't remember buying this book in that bookshop.
Do you know what you bought
But
there?
I must have. Pardon?
Do you know what you bought there?
No, I don't remember at all. So I might have. It might have been this one.
Possible.
Oh my God, this was so pretty. This was so pretty.
Nice.
I feel that if I have a teenager that I want to get a book for, I'm getting them this.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Or middle grade. Like middle grade to YA range, I think this is, you got to get them this book. You got to. It's so good. It's about the main character, Yi, who gets cursed and needs to go and talk to a witch in order to get like the curse lifted. He can't speak. And he only says, like, Yi. Like, that's the only thing. So that's why he's named that. And so basically he's like, okay, I gotta go find this witch. Everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong on his way to find this witch. He ends up on, like, a million different side quests on a pirate ship and with a clown at a circus. It's like all sorts of things go, like, on this adventure. But eventually he finds his way to the witch and she's able to help him. And it's a really beautiful coming of age story that's like about knowing who you are and being brave and trusting yourself and, you know, using your voice. So it's just beautiful and like truly some of the prettiest artwork I've ever seen. I was just like every single page that I flipped, I was like, good Lord. That's I'm just showing these to the Raylene. And like, oh my God, it's just so rich. And beautiful. And like the pirate ship page blew my mind. I was just like, no, come on. What are we talking about? It's just stunning. So really liked that one. It didn't like, again, connect with me. It felt like it was for middle grade or young adult, but I still really liked it. Cool. All right. Next one that I read was The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Cartoonist by Adrian Tomine. Adrian Tomine was born in 1974 in Sacramento, California. His previous books include Shortcomings and Killing and Dying, which was a New York Times bestseller. Since 1999, his illustrations have appeared regularly on the cover and in the pages of The New Yorker. He lives in Brooklyn, New York, with his wife and daughters. This was so good.
Oh, thank God. Because I know you loved one of his books, didn't like another one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We've been on a whole journey, me and Adrian. I read Killing and Dying, and I was obsessed. Unbelievable. Yeah. One of the best graphic novels I've ever read. And I was like, that's it. I'm an Adrian Tomine. And I am trying to really get that spelling or not pronunciation correct because one of the themes in this book is how no one pronounces his name right.
That's so funny.
And I was like, it was really funny. I read that one and I was obsessed with it. And then I read Summer Blonde, I think. And I was like, nah, I don't, not for me. And then recently I read Sleepwalk. Was that the one I read? Yeah. And I was like, damn, I didn't really like that one either. Maybe I don't actually like his stuff. Maybe it was just like this one-off that I really like. Yeah. Then I read this one and I'm like, you're a genius.
I've read you for everything.
Love it. Amazing. So it's very interesting because this one is also a graphic novel memoir. And and both of these are graphic novel memoirs and they both have the word lonely in the title. And they both do really deal with the lonely life of being an illustrator, which is fascinating.
That is interesting, yeah.
I never would have thought about that. Like, I will say, like, drawing, illustrating, painting is one of the things that I romanticize a lot in my mind, where I'm just like, gosh, to be able to just, like, sit there and draw and, like, play a podcast or play music, like, that seems so wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But both of these really have emphasized how lonely it is. Like, you're always alone drawing, and you're always like wanting to draw, and so you're always isolating yourself from everyone else, and you're constantly having to like work away from people in order to just sit there and draw and stuff. And so yeah, it was interesting in that sense. Let's talk about the form first of all. I also feel myself losing my voice. This is printed to look and feel just like a notebook, like a moleskin notebook, or a, what's the other kind? God, I don't know. God, it's that German one. I forget. But it's got the elastic band that goes all the way around this. It's the exact same size as a normal journal. All of the paper is graph paper. The whole thing is printed on graph paper. At the beginning, like the first page just says like, if found, please return to. So like if you open this, you would just think it was a notebook.
That's so cool.
And then it finishes off with like handwritten biography in a really random corner of the book. So it really feels like his sketchbook, or like his diary, where he just drew out his diary. And it was just so cool to, when I bought it, I remember thinking, is this going to be a gimmick? Also, this has a sticker on the back that says Mosaic Book. So that means I bought this in Kelowna.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, is this going to be a gimmick? Like, is this going to feel gimmicky? Is this going to feel kind of like a little lame that it's made to look like a sketchbook? Nope. I loved it. Nice. I thought it was so cool. I thought like, yeah, this is neat. This is fun. This is novel. You couldn't probably do this every time. But then I thought, maybe you could. Because it turns out this is a superior reading object. Ooh. Having an elastic band that goes around your book, turns out that's awesome.
True.
I love that because you're never scared that the pages are going to get bumped into or anything. Secure. It lays flat, which is awesome. That's
my favorite thing.
I also was able to use the elastic band as a bookmark, even though it has its ribbon, but there was like multiple options. I was like, wait a minute, is this the ultimate book form? We've all been sleeping on these moleskins. That's how we should be printing our books. Lecterm. That's the other brand.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is short comics, starting in 1982. Ooh. And spanning all the way to, when was this last one? It was like 2016, I think.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Yeah, and so they span his life as a cartoonist. Wow, this last comic is longer than I remember. Oh, yeah, it was a really good concluding one. The last comic, we really built to something in that one. It was so beautiful. But yeah, I loved these comics. One of them made me laugh so hard. 2018 is the last one. Okay. One of them made me laugh so hard that I couldn't keep reading. Like, I kept trying to keep reading, but then I kept laughing, and then I made Connor read the whole thing, and it was so funny. It was so funny. I think, okay, when I reviewed his other one that I read a couple weeks ago, when I reviewed it on the pod, I talked about how, like, I found the endings of the stories really unsatisfying. I don't know if you remember that. But I was talking about how, like, they just kept ending. And I was like, what the heck was that? Like, it's so ambiguous. It's it felt like it just got cut off. And that couldn't possibly be where it was supposed to end. There's a story in here about him and his wife going, and he like has said that everything in the book that happened is true. So there's a story of him and his wife. They go to eat dinner at a restaurant, and they sit down at a table, and the couple next to them is talking about his book. And like, it's just crazy. And they're talking about, like, the boyfriend is like, I read that book you gave me. And the girlfriend's like, did you like it? And the boyfriend's like, yeah, but like, I thought it was so pretentious how he just ends stories at like a really random spot. And him and his wife are just sitting there like, I can't believe this is happening. And then the guy's just ranting on about, like, he's such a pretentious, and he, like, and I was like, I can't believe I just talked about that on the podcast, so 2 weeks ago. I'm the problem.
You were being called out, yeah.
He called me out. And I respect the hell out of it, quite frankly. Yeah. No, it was awesome. I loved this book. This was so great. I will definitely, this is the kind of thing where I was like, I'll definitely reread this. Mm-hmm. I already want to reread this. It was so good. I just think that he's so strong at doing these short comics. Yeah. And I kind of feel like because they were about him this time, he had a better perspective on where to end them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, because he could see, like, because you self-narrate your life and you add endings to your own stories, right? So, anyways, loved it. All right, so those are the 4 books I read. The 5th one that I'm currently reading is Beauty. Do you remember I hauled this one?
Yeah.
I'm bummed that I didn't finish it because I thought it would be epic to read 5. But
4 is pretty good.
reading 4 was already kind of crazy.
It's pretty epic.
For someone so sick. I'm like halfway through it. It's so cool.
Ooh.
I don't want to say if I love it yet because I might not.
Okay.
But so far I'm loving it.
Amazing.
It's so neat.
Are you currently reading anything else?
No, well I was reading the Tove Jensen, God, pronunciations. Not auto. Ariel, I'm falling asleep at the wheel here. Biography and the Parnassus on Wheels. But because I got so sick, I just couldn't read text. No, so I just fully transferred over to pictures.
Totally.
But I do hope to get back to those. But I am going on this big vacation on Thursday. And so I don't think I'm going to be reading much.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, let me tell you what I'm reading. You actually picked it for me, so I'll let the people know.
Oh, yes.
So I kind of put together a little stack next to my bed because I finished and DNF'd one book kind of in the same day. And so I was like, I'm ready to start fresh. I want to read something new. Like, let's see, like, what am I in the mood for? So I made a stack and I was like, this is the most confusing stack ever. Like, I don't know what I'm in the mood for. Like, there was a Stephen King book in there. There was a Haruki Murakami. It was very, like, all over the place. But one of the books in there that you picked for me immediately, I must say, like, you didn't take time to think about it at all. You knew what was the right answer.
I did.
And that is Only Child by Rhiannon Navin. And this one, you should tell the people what was your big confusion about this one. It's funny. It's
well, I was like, you have to read Only Child. It's got to be that one. And I was like, you've been wanting to read it. It's shorter than the other books in that stack. So I was just like listing off all my reasons. And I was like, and I've got to know, was Golden Boy a one-up? Did you love Golden Boy? Like, that's the only novel you'll ever like by that author. Yeah. Or will you like her other books too? And you just send me a picture of Golden Boy, which was very funny of you. And I see that it's by a completely different author. Yeah,
totally different person. And I didn't know that you thought that. So, like, it was funny because you always, like, hype me up for this book. Like, you're always kind of like, you should read that. Like, because you know how much I want to read it, but also because you thought it was by an author I already knew I loved.
This whole time.
Very funny. No, it's not. It's totally random. This is this author's debut novel, and I can't remember how I found out about it. I think I, like, found it through back when I used to do book olds, where I would just, like, research random, like, backlist titles, and I talked about it, and then Brenna Thumler read it and loved it, and then talked about it when we had her on the podcast one time. So it was like just a whole bunch of things, and now I've like had it ever since then because I bought it because of Brenna, and I was like, okay, I'll read it. Fine, I'll read it. And it's just become like a mashed potato book because I'm like, I know it's gonna be so good, because it's kind of like marketed towards fans of Room, because the main character is a 6-year-old kid. But this one is like, I mean, I wouldn't say more stressful than Room, because Room is also pretty stressful. Like, it's on the same level of like something terrible is happening to this kid. So the way that this book opens, like, I'm only 50 something pages into it. I'm still very much at the beginning. And already, like, I have felt like I wanted to cry every single page.
Wow.
Like, it's a very emotional book. The main character, like I said, is a 6-year-old boy. His name is Zach, and he's in the 1st grade. And the opening of the book is him at school hiding in a closet with his entire class and teacher because there's an active shooter at the school.
Oh, God in heaven,
it's so stressful. And you're getting it from a 6-year-old's perspective. So he's like, I don't really understand what's happening. Like, somebody said this, but I don't really know what that means. I'm hearing these scary sounds, but I don't understand what it is. Like, it's the like, coming from a little kid makes it so much, like, worse to read. It's like, because he doesn't understand and he's scared, and so it's a very stressful book and very emotional, and like that's just the beginning of the book. There's like even like more stressful and worse things that happen like after the first chapter kind of finishes, and it's like, oh, my heart. So I do love it. Like, I'm absolutely into it, but it is so sad. And I barely even started it yet, so I'm like, oh man, it's probably gonna make me cry, which, you know, is what I want, so that's all good.
That's horrifying. That's like such a scary topic.
I know, it really is. But so far it's being handled really well, and I'm interested to see what else she does with it. So,
my good God. Oh, that's spooky. Well, listen, It's not the book I thought I was recommending you to read, but maybe you'll end up liking it
But to be
anyway.
fair, Golden Boy is also very stressful and is about like a sad kind of family situation. So like it actually has weird parallels to that book too. So it's kind of.
Have you read anything else by Golden Boy? By Golden Boy.
No, I have not. She came out with, like, she had another book before Golden Boy that I owned for a long time, but then kind of lost interest in.
Okay.
And then she had another book come out a few years ago called Dead Girls. That's like a murder mystery set in the 90s. And I kind of just like lost interest in that one as well. Like I feel kind of bad, but it just kind of like came and went from my life. Maybe I'll read it one day, but yeah, nothing else since, like, that's the only one I've read, and I've read it twice.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's visit the mailroom. All right, I pulled a couple comments from YouTube land.
Okay.
This first one is from Lost to Infinity. Oh, yes, this was from last week. They said, I was talking to one of my coworkers who's Ukrainian, and she says that in Ukraine, they call the last week of August and the first couple of weeks of September, so this zone that we're currently in, Lady Summer. And it's that time of year where it's warm, so you can start to feel it cool and starting to look like autumn. I thought that was such a lovely phrase for probably my favorite time of year.
Oh
Lady
my
Summer.
gosh. As a half Ukrainian woman, I really connect to that.
I love that, right? That's so cool.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, we need to learn what the like word is in Ukrainian.
Yeah, I want to start celebrating. My friends would love that. Like, I'm going to tell them because they're going to also love that.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. Okay, Aisling says, so cool to hear Raylene mention Una Mannion. Can you remind me who that was?
Yeah, she wrote the book, The Crooked Tree, that I own, that I talked about wanting to read in the fall.
Totally. Okay. Yeah. So she says, so cool to hear Raylene mention Una Mannion. She lived near me and gave a friend and I an amazing Hamlet deep dive before our leaving cert, which is their final exam in high school in Ireland. And then she says, brackets, Justice for Ophelia. And then she says, her second novel, Tell Me What I Am, is even better, although I am biased.
Okay. Hot tip.
So I thought that was cool. Like, if you end up liking this one, you should definitely read the next one. And if you don't like this one, maybe you should still give the other one a try.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah. Okay, and this final comment just about blew my mind here. The Yellow Crush says, this is super important. This is super important, hot information. Moonbound's cover glows in the dark.
Did you test it?
I just read this like right before reading the podcast. So I haven't tested it yet. But
so does Mr. Penumbra's, yeah?
Yeah. Well, not the edition that I had, but yes, I remember that was a thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm going to have to test that out.
That is
But if you own Moonbound, I'm sure you have to put a flashlight on it and then turn the lights off.
You got to charge it up.
I think that's so cool. I loved doing that when I was a kid.
I know, right? Oh, like, did you ever have the stars on your ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charge them up.
Of course. Of course we did.
All right. What did you find?
Well, firstly, I accidentally was on Instagram for a few seconds the other day because someone sent me something that took me there, and then I was like, okay, I need to close this. But I saw that Kat Dennings had posted a story, and I was like, I'll just look at it. Why not?
Yes.
And I took a screenshot of this because it was too great. She read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore and gave it 5 stars and said astounding. So I just wanted to give a shout, love it. Thank you, Kat. She probably didn't read it because of me, but I like to think that she did. I like to think it was off of my recommendation. But either way, I'm glad that she loved it. I just want everyone to love that book because it was so good.
It's the book of the Lady Summer.
Book of the Lady Summer. So true. So the final thing I wanted to say here was we got a very cute comment with some photos here from Hannah, who said, I got married a few weeks ago and I wanted to share some pics here because I sewed my dress myself and I'm really proud of how it turned out.
Oh my God.
And there are some really beautiful photos and she did her hair with flowers. I just wanted to give a shout out and a congrats to Hannah because we love celebrating our patrons. You guys are
that's
buddies,
so beautiful.
So. Oh, sorry. There was one more thing I almost forgot. And you actually told me about this, but we also got a message from Daz who says, has this been mentioned here yet? New Sayaka Murata book coming out in spring 2025 with the same English translator as her other books. So yes, she has a book called Vanishing World coming out April 15th. and I'm gonna die of excitement. So
that's a big one. That's already your most anticipated book.
Like Sayaka Murata is now the one author that I'm like, I will buy anything she comes out with. She's like one of the only authors that I'll do that for now.
That's so cool.
So exciting.
Well, thank you guys so much for writing us messages and leaving comments and stuff. All the engagement is so lovely and is how the community comes together. We're grateful to you for listening to this episode. Reminder, we're doing an event. We're doing our first ever meetup on September 22nd. Details are on our Instagram and stuff. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.